Have you ever felt paralyzed by the thought of failing even before you started? What if the failure you're so afraid of is actually the lesson you need to grow? Stay tuned as we explore how to overcome the fear of failure and find God's purpose in every step, successes and setbacks alike. Fear of failure can feel overwhelming. It whispers doubts into our minds, convincing us that we aren't good enough, smart enough, or strong enough. But what if we saw failure not as a dead end, but as part of God's divine plan for growth, strength, and purpose? The Bible offers countless reassurances that failure is not final when we walk with God. It's a stepping stone, a lesson, and sometimes even a blessing in disguise. Why we fear failure. The fear of failure often stems from focusing too much on ourselves, our abilities, our image, and our weaknesses. We fear rejection, judgment, or loss of control. But God reminds us that our worth isn't tied to our performance. It's tied to His love. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. When fear grips us, it's an opportunity to shift our gaze upward. God is not measuring our worth by our success. He's looking at our faith, perseverance, and willingness to trust Him, even in failure. The Bible is filled with examples of God using failure to build character, teach lessons, and bring about His greater purpose. I'm the Gospel of John, chapter 21, 15-17. Peter, one of Jesus' closest disciples, denied Him 3 times out of fear. Yet Jesus didn't cast him aside. Instead, He restored Peter and entrusted him with the early church. Peter's failure became the foundation for his bold faith. Again, Moses doubted his ability to lead Israel, saying, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" But God reminded him, "I will be with you." Even our weaknesses can become strengths when God is with us. Now, a vital question arises. How do we overcome the fear of failure? 1. Trust in God's sovereignty. God's plans are bigger than our failures. "For I know the plans I have for you," declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. When failure comes, trust that God is using it for a greater purpose. 2. Lean on His strength. Our strength may fail, but God's never does. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Failure isn't a sign of weakness. It's an opportunity to rely on His power. 3. Embrace God's grace. Failure doesn't disqualify us from God's love. In fact, it's in our failures that His grace shines brightest. "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." 2 Corinthians 12:9. 4. Reframe failure as growth. The righteous may fall, but they always rise. Though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. Every failure is an opportunity to grow, learn, and draw closer to God. 5. Focus on faith, not fear. When Peter walked on water, he succeeded as long as he kept his eyes on Jesus. But when he looked at the waves, he sank. Fear distracts us, but faith keeps us moving forward. At this point, let's pause and look at God's purpose in failure. God uses failure to refine us. Just as gold is purified in fire, we are strengthened through our trials. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. James chapter 1, verses 2 and 3. Failure teaches humility, resilience, and dependence on God. It reminds us that we're not in control, but He is. Closing thoughts. Failure is not the end of your story. It's a chapter in God's masterpiece. He takes our missteps and turns them into miracles. When fear of failure tries to hold you back, remember that God walks with you. Joshua 1:9 says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." So step forward with faith. Run toward your dreams, knowing that even if you stumble, God will catch you. Trust Him to use your failures to shape your future and His glory. Failure isn't final when God is in control. Keep going, because He has already prepared the victory ahead. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. If this message has inspired you to see failure through the lens of faith, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to our channel for more Bible-based encouragement. And share this with someone who needs a reminder that failure is not the end. It's part of God's plan. Together, let's walk boldly in faith.